here, you're going to want to jump and then do an extended dash jump off this block. So you can either jump onto it, or you can just do a jump onto it and then do a regular dash jump. But if you do an extended dash jump from here, you can just dash down right and then forward to the bubble a little faster. You want to take the bubble up right and then wall jump off this wall, and then you can do 2 dashes to get to the next bubble. Like an up left and then a forward dash to this bubble. You're going to want to dash up through the right side of the transition, so you can do a buffered transition wall boost. So you're going to want to either like take the bubble up left and then dash left and then dash straight up. And then if you get the correct lineup, you'll be able to wall boost off the wall at the start. So and you can even dash up left into the corner in order to line it up a little more easily. But if you wall boost from the transition, you'll be able to then wall boost off of this corner right here. But you need to wall boost. If you wall boost too far to the left, you'll bonk your head along the ceiling right there. You also need to make sure that you move right with the wall boost to get through there. If you have trouble lining it up from the wall boost on the left, you can just enter from the right. You can just enter the room on the left, hop up onto this little corner right here, and then standing on this corner pretty much lines you up perfectly with the wall boost. So you can just jump from here, dash up twice, and wall boost out of the room. From here, you can either like hop up and then do an extended hyper off of here, or from the transition you can dash upright and then wave dash. I don't know why I didn't get momentum from that. If you overextend a wave dash, that sometimes happens. But you essentially dash upright, wave dash off the start, then dash upright again, and wave dash off the cloud at the end. And you pretty much can't avoid this strawberry. This is a strawberry that you'll always get. There is a strat for this room that utilizes lots of like demo dash hypers, but I'm not going to go over that because I haven't learned it yet, and it's a pretty new strat. But when you hit here, you just want to hyper out of the room and then go low so you can dash forward to this platform. And then when you dash forward to this platform, you just want to do lots of hypers to get out of the room, and they should be pretty short hypers. From the momentum in this room, you're either going to want to land here and then extended hyper, or if you time it right, so you want to do like a high hyper from here, and then you can wave dash off there. But you need 2 dashes in order to get to the bubble. You can take the bubble, either go forward and then dash. You can take the bubble upright and then dash forward and then up, or you can take the bubble forward and then dash upright and then up, and then both work. But you want to do 1 forward dash to get through this gap, and then another forward dash to get to the wall. And in this case, you don't want to cancel the momentum from the spring, because you need all the momentum you can get to beat the wind. You want to land here to get your dash back, and then you want to jump, dash upright, and then wave dash into the next room. And then the next room is another cycle-based room because it's the only room in Summit with snowballs in it. The dreaded snowballs from Ridge. So, it's one of the harder rooms in 2000. But the way the room works is you want to wave dash at the very start of the room, or hyper at the very start of the room. And then you want to wave dash and then do 2 ultras. So hyper, wave dash, ultra, ultra. And then if you go fast enough, you can also hyper off of this platform right here if you die. And it's the exact same cycle. So you want to wave dash. You want to wave dash off this platform right here. So this platform right here, you want to wave dash off here. And then if you dash down right immediately to do an ultra, you can ultra and then wave dash off of this platform right here. And that wave dash will give you enough momentum to then either do 1 or 2 dashes to the bubble. And then if you do it fast enough, you're going to want to take the bubble up right, because by going a little higher, you can bait the snowballs to go up. And then you can do 2 forward dashes to go under the snowball. So I took the bubble up right in order to make that snowball go higher, so I can then do 2 forward dashes to this platform. Then from this platform, you can just do a dash jump, like a quick dash jump to go over these spikes here. They won't get in your way if you do the dash jump correctly. You want to make sure you get full height out of the dash jump, of course. And then you want to land on that platform over there. And that's that last platform in front of the spikes. You're going to want to do an extended hyper or a wave dash off it. And you'll notice if you hyper too soon, you'll bonk your head there. So if you hyper too soon, you'll bonk your head right there, which will kill you. So you may even just want to do like a coyote hyper, and if you don't get your dash back, as long as you get enough distance from the coyote jump, you'll be able to just use one dash to get to the wall. So I only got one dash, and I just happened to hit the snowball. If you're quickly enough, that snowball will never hit you. You'll either bonk the snowball or go right over it. But if you have just one dash, you're going to want to try and drift forward as far as possible with that hyper, so that you can then dash upright towards sort of the bottom of this last wall. If you get both of your dashes, or if you bonk the snowball though, you can just do 2 upright dashes to get to this platform. And then again, if you do 2 upright dashes, you might go over the strawberry. You might end up grabbing the strawberry. If you go low, it's another strawberry that you sometimes might get. But you want to hyper into the next room and then dash forward to grab the block. This is a really big auto-scroller skip. It's also a very risky auto-scroller skip, but an important one to go for because this auto-scroller is extremely long. So this is a strat that you're definitely going to want to practice because it costs a lot of time to miss. But you need to get this block to go under that gap like you normally would. What I would do is I would get this block to brush against the top right there, because that makes it a little easier to line it up the next part of it. Because you need to take this block a little bit higher and then extended hyper off of it. And brushing it against that ceiling makes it a little easier for me to line it up. I don't know if it'll help you out. You just want to land on this block. You can kind of take your time here. But you need to get the block high enough, as high as you can, that you can extended hyper off of it, but without hitting those spikes on the ceiling. And then if you extended hyper far enough, you can do 2 upright dashes and then get to this block here. You can also do an upright and forward dash to get to this block, but if you don't get enough distance from the upright dash, you won't make it to this block. So for safety, you might just want to do 2 uprights. But you can step onto this block, dash up. If you're quickly enough and you just land on the block, dashing straight up should just land you around this platform. Just make sure you don't get crushed. And so this is the last part of the room, and it looks impossible, but you can actually wall boost off of this wall over here and get up here. So if you just walk forward off that ledge, you can fall far enough to then dash up and wall boost off of here. If you want to make the wall boost a little safer, you can fall here, wall jump, and then wall boost, and that gives you a little more time to line up the wall boost for safety. If you miss the wall boost though, like if you bonk against the ceiling instead of wall boosting, you have another dash, which you can use to save yourself. So if you bonk your head against this corner, you can just jump back up here and then try again. You want to hyper from here and then try and ultra out of the room. You might not get your ultra momentum when you bunny hop the start of the next room, in which case you can just do a hyper the block in the next room. But you want to do a short bunny hop at the start of this room. And if you do a wave dash at the start of the room, you'll go low enough anyway. But you want to go low enough so that you can grab the left corner of this block. So it would be a low bunny hop otherwise. But you want to hop up onto this block. And then this is an auto-scroller that you, for the most part, you can't skip. There is a very slight skip at the end, but it's extremely risky. But you pretty much just want to do this normally, like dash up, right? You can just stand on this block to evade these corners here. But if you're not far enough to the right, you might still hit them. So I'd recommend standing on the block for this skip right here. But for this one, you can jump up to the wall, jump up once, and then if you wall jump at the correct time, you can dash upright to land on the block again. In fact, you don't even need to dash. You can just jump up onto the block, and then, you know, at the right time. So kind of like when the block is lined up with the middle of this spiked wall on the right, that's when you want to jump and then do 2 up dashes out of the room. You might even be able to do it a little sooner than that, especially if you're able to wall boost off of either of the sides at the top of the room. But there is an Autoscroller skip for this room that saves about a second at the end of the room, where what you do is you climb up the right wall and then wall boost out of the room. And I didn't quite get the wall boost, but I got the wall jump at the end. And that is ever so slightly faster than taking the block up. If you can't do that 100% consistently, don't do that, because it's an extremely long room, and you don't want to take too many risks during an autoscroller like that. With the height that you get from the transition here, you can just do 2 upright dashes to get to the end of the room, like that. You don't have to really worry about the ceilings or the spikes, you'll land here anyway. And then you want to do a full height hyper into the next room, so you can then wave dash off the platform at the start. And then from this wave dash right here, you can do an upright and then wave dash, another upright and then wave dash. And then from here, if you hold left, you can fall through this gap without hitting the spikes at the end, like that. What I do though is I dash straight down and then dash forward to the bubble, which I find a little easier than holding left. Though that is ever so slightly faster because the down dash cancels out the forward momentum that you had. You wanted to take this bubble upright and then do 2 more upright dashes. And then you want to just hop up onto here. And from here, you're going to want to do either a hyper into the next room, then bunny hop at the start, or walk into the next room and extend a hyper. And then you want to dash upright and then wall boost off the right side of the middle block. If I miss. If you die here, you might want to step a little further forward to help line it up. But from that wall boost, you can either dash forward and then wall boost off of this wall in front of me, or you can dash upright to make it easier to line up. And in this case, I actually would recommend the upright to line it up a little better, because it is harder to line up than that first instance at the start of the chapter that I showed you. The forward dash isn't too hard to line up, it's just a little bit harder because bonking your head will kill you. After taking this spring, you can do a wall boost to get to that block at the end. You can wall boost there, or you can just dash up left to this pink wall below me and then jump up onto the block. You're going to have 1 dash with this block though, so you're going to want to wall jump off the block as soon as you can and then dash right to the gap so you don't take the block all the way. I would kind of wait until I'm lined up with this sort of tree trunk right here. But you can do it a little sooner than that. Like, I think you can even do it when you're sort of to the left of that trunk. But you're going to want to fall down here. You can brush against this right wall, and then you'll either hit the corner below this platform, in which case you're going to want to climb up. So once you fall here, you're going to want to hold climb in case you hit that corner, and then you'll just automatically climb up and step up onto here, or you'll just land right on the platform. But if you find that inconsistent, what you can do is just wall jump off the left wall. So if you wall jump off the left wall, it's even more consistent but slightly slower. You want to hyper into the next room and then do an extended hyper at the start of the room. And you can do 3 dashes to get the battle in here. You're going to want to do some more momentum cancels and just get to the bubble as fast as possible. Take this bubble to the left and then go down and then left, or down, left, and then left. And then there's a demo dash coming up. And if you have a demo dash button assigned, this is really easy. If you don't have the demo dash button assigned, then it might not be worth going for. But if you demo dash into that gap, you can actually go under the gap between the wall and the block to get onto the block as soon as possible. And then you can just hyper off the block and then dash the battle in. If you can't do that demo dash though, you're gonna have to grab the side of the block and then climb up the block. And you're gonna need to wait for the block to go forward far enough that you can get on top of it. And that is slower than doing the demo dash. So if you can do the demo dash, go for it. But if you have a demo dash button, the demo dash is actually really easy. You're gonna have to do some momentum cancels in order to get through these gaps. You can dash left and then dash straight down, and hitting this spring from the down dash is actually pretty safe. I messed it up though, and the wind will push you into the spring if you go a little far to the left. You can dash left twice after hitting this spring to get the battle in, even if it doesn't look like it. You can even do like 2 demo dashes if you want. to get over those spikes more easily. But then it's just another momentum cancel up and then up right. And sometimes the up dash will be enough to get you to battle end, but you shouldn't count on it. You should always input the up right dash just in case. And then again, it's a momentum cancel to get through this last gap and then up right to battle end. And then... So here's 2,500 meters. This is the last sort of redo section of Summit where you're going over mechanics from previous chapters. So from here you can just jump and then just do 2 upright dashes to the bubble. It might be ever so slightly faster to do a reverse dash jump here, but it's barely a difference. So if you can't do the reverse dash jump consistently, you can just jump, do 2 uprights to the bubble. And then to get into this next bubble, you can either dash upright, hop up over this wall, and then dash forward into the bubble like this. And you can do the same for the second wall. You can also do 2 upright dashes and kind of just weave your way into those gaps. But again, but then you'll have to deal with these spikes, so it's a little hard to line up. And you also need to try and get to the bubble quickly enough. So that's a little harder but faster. And there are also corner boosts that you can do if you time them right. And so you can corner boost off of each of these 2 walls and then dash down right into the bubble if you time it correctly. Like I got it on the second corner. And the second corner is actually easier to do than the first one. So if you can do the corner boosts consistently, I'd say don't go for the first one, but go for the second one. But the corner boosts are still pretty risky. And sometimes you might even accidentally corner boost off of them. So just to make sure you don't accidentally corner boost, you might want to get a little lower on the wall before you jump over it. You're going to want to dash straight down to get out of the bubble before you exit the room though, because it's a strat where you have to do a dash jump. So you can either dash jump from like right here in the middle of the platform, or you can dash forward and then buffer a dash jump from the transition. But essentially you need to dash jump and then bunny hop off of this corner right here. And so if you do it from the transition, there's sort of a specific amount of time that you have to hold jump in order to get that bunny hop. If you dash jump from like right here though, and do a very quick dash jump, you pretty much just hold jump, and that'll get you onto the platform. And you only need a little bit of forward momentum in order for the bunny hop to take you far enough forward. Like even just walking gives you enough distance as long as you get some coyote jump. But buffering the transition from the dash jump preserves a little more of your momentum, which makes it faster. But just doing the dash jump from here is a little easier because you don't need to hold space for a specific amount of time. You're going to want to hit this wall. You don't need to grab it, but grabbing it lets you fall straight down a little easier. But you're going to want to fall straight down here, and then dash forward to this block, and then climb up at it as quickly as possible, and do a very quick dash jump to get off of it. And then you can dash upright, or you can just hop up onto this platform. You want to hyper into the next room, or buffer a hyper from the transition again, and then you're going to want to do an extended hyper off the moving platform at the start of the room. But you can't enter the room and then hyper first, because that'll move the block. So you need to either hyper or buffer a hyper. Because when you buffer a hyper from the transition, the dash is at the start of the room, which means that this block won't trigger. But you can also just hyper into the room. You want to wave dash off of this block though. You can also extended hyper off it. But the block's going to be kind of in the middle of its position when you dash into it though. So you're going to want to aim for the middle of that part and then wave dash off of it. And then an upright dash should be able to get you sort of to the top of this wall. Then you want to jump over it and then just dash forward to the end. If you don't get your dash back, you can land down here to get your dash back. This next room is pretty tough though. You're going to want to hyper into the room. And then what you need to do is you have to wave dash off of this platform while it's going up. And then ultra to the third platform, and then wave dash off the third platform. So I'll try getting it here. And I accidentally did a bunny hop instead of a wave dash off that third platform, which messed me up. So that time it was a wave dash. So you wave dash off the first moving platform, you ultra to the third one, then you wave dash off the third, and then you can just do 2 upright dashes to get to this end. If you miss time, If you miss time dashing into this, you might end up bumping into the left side of it, in which case you'll end up just wall jumping, which will give you the crystal to get your dash back. And if you need to go slow here, you can just dash down here and then manually wave dash off of this block. There's also a death strat where you hyper off of here, and then you can do an upright and then wave dash. But you can hyper off of here, and then use the dash from the crystal in order to wave dash off of here. Like that. And that's a little faster than redoing the transition. From here, you're going to either want to extended hyper from here, or just dash forward, and then you can dash straight down and then wave dash at the end. We want to bunny hop here, and here comes a spike jump strat. That's way easier if you use 2 jump buttons. This strat will allow you to get this key up here without even needing to get the bubble down here. Because normally you have to go down through this long vertical section and then take the bubble up to get to the key. But what you can do is you can do 2 wall jumps, or 2 neutral jumps in fact, in order to, first of all, neutral jump off this corner right here. And then you can do a neutral spike jump off that second corner. So if you time it right, you saw I actually neutral jumped off that second corner, which gave me enough height in order to jump off the wall. And essentially what you just need to do is need to do a neutral jump off the very top of this wall, and then do a neutral jump off the corner. And having 2 jump buttons makes it easier because you can just hold the first jump button for the first jump to get as much height as possible, and then just time pressing the second jump button. And this mostly comes down to rhythm. It's a little easier to do from the transition as well, because the transition gives you just the amount of height that you need to wall jump off the first wall. If you try doing it without the transition though, you need to, it's a little harder to time this. You can buffer the corner jump though, which makes it pretty easy. This one just takes practice. If you're too low, you won't reach that second wall, and if you're too high, you might hit the spikes. But I'm having trouble even making myself hit the spikes, so you can get it pretty consistently to the point where you can do it without thinking, really. The most important part is getting enough height from the first jump, though, and you saw I hit the spikes there. But once you get the second neutral jump, it's just 2 up dashes, climb jump up the right wall, and then you can either like just dash to the key, you can hyper to the key. But the moment you hit the key, you're going to want to retry, because retry warping is a little faster than maneuvering your way through this zigzag at the end. And again, you're going to want to mash in order to respawn as quickly as possible, and it'll teleport you down here, and that's faster than getting through that zigzaggy part with a crumble block and all. From here, you can either dash to the left and then dash straight down, or you can jump and then dash down left into the transition, and they're pretty much the exact same. And then you're gonna want to get the key into the door as fast as possible. And then timing a hyper into the next room, you're gonna want to dash straight down to the bubble at the start. And again, press dash to take these bubbles as quickly as possible. You're gonna want to dash straight up out of this bubble, and then dash upright to get to that platform. And something that you can do to make that a little easier is to wall boost off this wall, which gives you a little more extra distance to get to this platform, so you can then dash left to the platform instead of upright. But you want to land on this platform, and then you can just take this platform, and then you want to jump up this wall. You don't want to dash straight up, because this block right here will crush you. If you jump up a little higher though, you can dash straight up. You just need to make sure that you go high enough that the block won't crush you. You can also go to the left of that block if you do an extended hyper off of here. Or you can just do a regular hyper off here, but if you hyper off that horizontal block, you can dash straight up before you hit those spikes in order to get through this gap. Though it is kind of tight, it's mostly about timing. But from here, if you did the version where you went to the left of this block like I just did, you can wait on this block for a moment, and then hyper off of it to get a big momentum boost through this chasm, or through this tunnel. Otherwise, if you do one of the other strats, you can just wave dash here, hyper off of here, and then get out of the room. And if you hyper off of the middle block, you can even do an ultra to get out of the room. Like that. But you want to ultra or hyper into the next room and then dash into the bubble. And then when you're going down to these lower bubbles, you're going to want to fast fall to get into them as fast as possible. You can go down right if you cut this corner correctly to get into this next bubble, or you can just fast fall and then dash right into it. It's a little bit of a difficult corner to cut, but you'll see the hitbox for that bubble is pretty big, so it's not as hard as it looks. And you can even dash down right out of the last bubble to get to the end a little faster, like that. Or you can just dash forward, fast fall, and then dash forward again. But you're going to want to land here, and then this is a you can hyper into the next room, or you can walk into the next room to help line it up a little faster. But this is a room where you have to dash diagonally through that tiny little gap at the end, so it's a pretty tight strat. But you need to extend it hyper or wave dash a little further to the left so you don't hit these spikes right here. And then you need to dash up right through that gap. And it mostly just comes down to practice getting that gap because it's very tight. And you really just have to thread the needle here. Those vines can be used as sort of a guide. Like kind of right here when you're at the very middle of this right angle in the vine. Kind of the point that you want to dash at, like that. But it's a little hard to use that as a guide because you're going so fast, especially if you hyper into the room. You might hyper into the room from here and then do an extended hyper at the very start. And you don't really have much time to look and see how your guide is set up. So it mostly just comes down to practice. If you don't want to do that though, because it is pretty tight, you can just grab the left side, but it is pretty slow. When you get up here though, oh, and also to help line up the extended hyper, you're going to want to start kind of on the left edge of this rock, so you don't start too far forward. If you're any further forward than that, you might hit the spikes on the first block. When you land here though, you're just going to want to hyper again. And then here is another very popular skip, pretty much a meme in the speedrunning community, known as the door skip. And it's a skip that saves pretty much 1 second and isn't too hard, but it's a skip in a really long room that will cost you a ton of time if you die. So you can opt not to go for it if you don't really care, but it's only like a 1 second save, so it might not even be worth it. If you don't want to do door skip, you want to dash straight down and then dash into the spring, dash up into the button. That's how it looks without door skip. But if you want to do door skip, essentially what door skip allows you to do is allows you to ignore these buttons, and you can actually dash under those doors between those little gaps. So if you hyper in from the previous room, you do an upright, then dash forward through this gap, hop up here, like that. So that's door skip. You can also do demo dashes in order to shrink your hitbox a little to get through these doors a little easier. You can dash down right there to get to the next door a little sooner. But yeah, that's door skip, and it's easier than it looks, but it's also pretty risky. So you can choose to do it if you want. Coming up is the next room, the last room in 2500, and also the longest. This is one of the longest rooms in Summit, so you're gonna have to get really consistent with it. It's a hyper into the room, and then you can either do an extended hyper at the start or just do a bunny hop. And again, the bunny hop makes it a little easier to get to the spring at the right side of the room. You might have to jump up that wall a little to hit the spring. But you need to hit the spring and then wave dash off of here, and then you can just dash up to battle in. You can dash upright twice and then go over that spike over there. Or you can dash into the spring and then just dash forward twice. And I think doing the 2 dashes forward after hitting the spring is a little faster. You want to get onto this platform as fast as possible, so I'd recommend dashing up left and then just hopping up onto here, because you need to do an extended hyper off of here. And then dash up right. And then you need to grab that block after using the second dash, and you're going to want to try and conserve as much stamina as possible. So you can wall jump off this wall right here, and then dash up right to grab the block. You can also jump up the wall a few times. You don't want to jump up too many times, but if you jump up the wall a few times, you can then wall jump and then dash left or right to that, and that makes it a little easier. Or you can wall boost to it, which is I think the fastest but the hardest way to get onto the block. Because essentially the sooner you dash to get onto the block, the less you have to wait for the block to retract. So doing the wall boost is the quickest way to do it. But you can see the wall boost is pretty hard to do. So I'd recommend either dashing up right to the block or climbing up the wall a little and then dashing right. Climbing up the wall is the slowest way though, because you dash the latest. If you hang near the top of this block, not at the very top, but close to it, you can go under these spikes and then quickly step up onto the block and jump off it before the block retracts fully. And you need to jump off before it retracts fully or else you'll hit these spikes at the end. And if you're not confident that you'll be able to step up quickly enough, or if you're running out of stamina, like if you're blinking red right now, you might just want to drop down to the spring and then dash to battle in, but stepping up onto here isn't that too hard. Like that. And after hitting battle in, you're going to want to just climb and jump up this wall. You don't want to dash because you need this block in front of you to be lowered. So you just want to jump up this left wall and then just kind of just jump onto this platform. You're going to want to dash straight down here. You can do like a dash jump or something on this block in order to get to it sooner. But it does some weird things, and it's something that I've only seen a few people do. So I'd recommend just dashing down into this block and then using the momentum to boost yourself up to here. And then you just have to do some wall jumps while evading the spikes. And then once it's fully retracted, you can just jump up. You don't have to jump off the wall. You can just jump straight up and then dash twice to the bubble. There is a version of this strat where you actually get a momentum boost off the right side block, which lets you get to the bubble a little sooner. So what you need to do is you basically need to get on top of the right block as quickly as possible, so then you can jump off of it with a momentum boost to get into the bubble. And this is pretty risky because you have to evade the wall of spikes at the end. So something like that, you need to get onto the right block and then jump off of it to boost yourself to the bubble. And that's slightly faster, but it's a huge risk because it's the very end of the longest room in Summit. So only go for it if you're consistent. But you want to take this bubble straight up, you'll hit battle in. Okay, now it's time for 3,000 meters, which is the longest section of Summit. And it's going to introduce a few new wind mechanics that you'll have to deal with. But for the most part, it's kind of just raw platforming at the start. So you're going to want to get onto this platform as soon as possible. You can like do 2 upright dashes and then hop up. You can jump and then do 2 upright dashes. But you want to land here and get your dash back so then you can do some wall boosts. So you basically just want to alternate between wall boosting and grabbing the crystals. So wall boost, grab, wall boost, grab, wall boost, grab, wall boost. And then you want to land on flag 29. There are 2 strats for flag 29. Regardless, you're going to want to do 2 wall boosts here, so wall boost to grab the crystal. And then you can either jump off here, then dash upright, and then wall boost off the right wall. So, something like this. Like that, and then do the rest of the room. What you can also do is, if you just jump up, you can dash straight up to get to the next crystal. Like that, and then you can do the rest of it normally. They're about the same though, so you can pick which one you want to do. Doing the wall boost off the right wall is a little more consistent though, because you might not make it to the crystal just jumping off. So, but you want a wall boost, and you kind of want to do a low wall boost off that wall, because you can accidentally go over this last crystal. But after grabbing this crystal, you just want to dash straight up and then climb the wall a little, and then you can wall boost to battle in. The flag 28 has a strat that involves wall boosting off of a wall that you can't see. There's a wall hidden behind this cloud right here that you can actually wall boost off of in order to get to the next room, or to the next flag. So if you just jump straight up here and then dash forward, you want to wall jump off this corner right here. And then you can wall boost a few times. You want to wall boost off of, jump here, wall boost off of the hidden wall, and then wall boost off that corner. And you need to make sure you get maximum height out of these wall boosts, or else you might hit that spike at the end. And it's pretty difficult because you can't see the wall that you're wall boosting off of, but basically it's 2 blocks to the right. And that was only 1 block to the right, so you need to go 2 blocks, or sorry, to the left. So it's 2 blocks to the left of this wall right here. And you're just gonna have to find it, or you're just gonna have to kind of get used to where it is. You can also grab the wall if you wanna wall jump first, but you'll see if you don't get enough height, you can hit that spike. So if you have trouble getting enough height, you can just go back to the right wall, and that'll help you evade the spike on the left, but that's slightly slower. If you have trouble doing that at all, like getting the 2 wall boosts, you can go up the left side, in which case you want to dash jump to here. And then if you bunny hop at the correct time right here, and then dash up left, you can do a reverse dash jump off that platform. Like that, and that lets you do 2 dashes up to here. And then from here, you can just hyper to that wall, and then wall boost off of it. And then you can land up here. So that's the strat if you want to go on the left side. You can also, like, if you have trouble doing the reverse dash jump, you can, like, just do that, but that's pretty slow. Definitely slower than wall boosting off the right side. If it takes you too long to wall boost off the right side, doing the left side strat is also still faster, so you can pick and choose which one you want. Flag 27, you just want to do 2 wall boosts off this wall, then this wall, and if you get enough height, you'll get the flag 26. You saw that it is pretty tight, so if you want to make sure you get enough height, you can do 1 climb jump off of either of these walls, and that'll let you consistently get to it. You just want to make sure you don't overextend these wall boosts, because then it won't register as a wall boost at all. From flag 26, you can either extend a dash jump and then wall boost off this left wall, which is a little hard to line up. Or you can just jump and then dash up twice and then wall boost off the right wall, which is slightly slower. Because wall boosting off the left wall actually lets you do 2 wall boosts to get to the crystal. Otherwise, you need to just do 1 wall boost and then a wall jump to the crystal. But that part is pretty self-explanatory. You just want to try and do as few diagonal upright dashes as possible, because those are slower than forward dashes. And I think there's like a downright dash you can do somewhere in there, but I don't usually do it, so I'm not sure where it is. But you want to try and ignore the platform below me and just land right on flag 25 by doing 2 upright dashes at the end. From here, you want to wall boost off this right wall. And you want to jump first to get a little more height. And if you jump over that corner, you can dash forward to land on this platform. So you might end up going a little too low and hitting the spikes like that. So if you're afraid of the spikes, you can just wall boost and then wall jump off of here to get a little more height. Or you can wall boost to here and then do 2 wall jumps. You can also like wall jump off there, and if you neutral jump off there, you can get to this platform just doing an up left dash, but it's hard. You can skip flag 24. I'm going to show you the strat that skips flag 24 because it's a pretty fast strat. But what you need to do is jump up to the very top of this wall, and then you can wall boost off that corner directly above me. So if you wall boost off that corner, you can dash upright to land on this crumble block. And then since the downwind is going to make hypers a little bit more difficult, you can just jump and then dash to this next crumble block. But if you do a correct hyper, you can just hyper and then bunny hop off the second one. But you want to wall boost off the right wall and then dash up left in order to land on the next crumble block. And you need to wall boost pretty high to make sure you have enough height to evade those spikes. From here, you can do an extended hyper off of this crumble block, which will give you enough dashes to just dash up twice to flag 23. And if you don't get the extended hyper, it's still safe. So And you don't even, if you get enough height from the extended hyper, you don't even need to do a climb jump. The 2 dashes will get you high enough to reach flag 23. But since it's a little inconsistent, you might just want to do the climb jump just in case. Flag 24 is another flag that you can skip, but I'll show you the no skip method first. So if you can either just jump and then dash to this crumble block, you can hyper bunny hop off it, or you can dash jump bunny hop off it. But you don't want to go too far to the right because you want to climb up off the right side of the wall on the left. And doing the extended hyper is a little tough as well, so you might just want to do a dash jump. And you want to dash up to that wall, jump up the wall a little, and then wall boost off it to get to flag 24. I overextended that wall boost, which can happen sometimes. So that's flag 20, sorry, that's to flag 22. An alternative that lets you skip flag 22 is to bunny hop off of this platform from a hyper and then do 2 upright dashes to get up to the next platform. Or sorry, a straight up and then upright. And then if you land right here, you can wall boost off this wall and then dash up to the spring right here from the wall boost. And that's a little faster because it skips the platform that flag 22 is on. But it's also really risky because flag 22 can be a little tough. So I'd recommend just taking flag 22 because it's safer. But if you wall boost, you just dash straight up into the spring. Otherwise, you want to jump off here and then dash up left and then dash up into the spring. And then it's some more up left dashes. And you can wall boost off that last wall, but you need to make sure you get enough height so that you don't hit the spike. So it's diagonal up, left, up. So for the last spring, you need to go left and then go straight up into the spring. And then it's an up left and then a wall boost here. Then you need to make sure you get full height out of that wall boost to go over the spikes. And then just dash forward twice to flag 21. If you fall a little lower, then with the second dash, you can dash jump off this platform after hitting the spring. That'll still grab flag 21, but it'll also give you extended dash jump momentum just to dash twice to the spring. But since lining that up can be a little hard and missing it will make you do a wall jump, which can kill you because you don't have your dash anymore, you can just land on flag 21, and then you can either extended dash jump and then dash up twice to get to the spring, or you can do you can wall boost off of this wall and then dash up straight up to the spring. You can do 2 forward dashes from here. And then you want to extended dash jump off of this crumble block, and then do 2 wall boosts in the last flag. And that'll land you right on flag 20. So from here, there are a few different strats here. You can just jump diagonal and then forward, but it's slightly faster to do a reverse dash jump here. And from here, you can either do 2 wall boosts to the crystal, which looks like this. Or what you can do is if you do an extended hyper off this platform, and it has to be extended, you can do an extended hyper off of here, and if you get full height from the extended hyper, it'll actually send you right into a wall between those spikes, and then you can just jump up and then do 2 up dashes to wall boost. Like that. And then there's also a strat where you hyper off right from here, and then do just spam corner boost, like that. But that's really risky, because if you mess up the timing on any of those corner boosts, you'll die. And you also need to step up onto this platform, which is a little slower. That is the fastest way to get to this platform, and you can do it if you want. But after grabbing the first crystal, you pretty much just want to spam up dash. If you get in the right rhythm, you can buffer all these dashes to get the fastest dashes possible. But depending on how you time these dashes, you'll either be able to dash right into Battlein at the end, or you'll have to climb up a little to get to Battlein. So just be wary of how many dashes you have at the very end of this ascent to see if you need to climb or not. Like, I only needed to do 1 climb jump to get to Battlein that time, but if you're a little lower, you might have to jump up this wall a little. So in that previous section, the wind was pushing you down, which increased the gravity, but now it's going up, which decreases the gravity, allowing you to go higher and fall slower. So from here, you're going to want to jump, and then you can wall boost off this wall. With the transition, you're pretty much automatically lined up with this wall to wall boost. You might not be automatically lined up if you're on the patch where the wall boosts are less lenient. But if you're playing on PC, you should be fine. You can just jump straight out and wall boost, and then you can dash left to get onto this cloud as soon as possible. You can just take this cloud if you want, or you can do a reverse dash jump off the cloud if you land on the left side of it. But you need to make sure you get your dash back from it. And I'm not, for some reason. And if you get your dash back from that reverse dash jump, you can do a wall boost here, and then jump up this wall, and then dash upright. If you get enough height from those wall boosts and such, you can actually dash forward to flag 17. But I'd recommend just dashing upright, because dashing forward, if you're out of stamina, you might have to climb this wall, and if you don't have stamina, you won't make it. So when you land on flag 17, so you skip flag 18, and then you land on flag 17. And you can wall jump off this wall, and then dash upright through here, dash upright through here. You're going to want to do a lot of fast falling in this updraft section, because you fall really slowly otherwise. So you can fast fall to this cloud, and then boost off of it. And then you want to dash upright, and then you can fast fall here if you want, or there's a strat that is a little easier if you don't fast fall. But essentially, the fastest strat for this requires that you dash upright through the crystal before grabbing it. Like that. And then after dashing through the crystal, you need both dashes, and then you do some climbing jumps and wall jumps over these walls. And I accidentally messed it up because, again, I paused. And if you have both dashes, you can dash forward and then dash upright to get to flag 16. Otherwise, if you don't have both dashes, you're going to want to either... so if you don't get your dash back, so if you either grab the crystal before you dash, or if you just don't have enough dashes like this, you can, if you get the positioning right, you can just dash upright to that corner at the end, if you just barely evade those spikes at the end. So if you just barely skim those spikes, you can dash upright to the end. Otherwise, you might want to wall jump to get a little more height. So you fast fall to this wall and then jump off of it. That's a little more consistent. And those are pretty much all the strats for that. Conserving your dash so that you can just do 2 dashes to the next flag, though, is the fastest method. From here, you don't need to jump, you can just wall boost and then dash forward to get the flag 15. If you do jump, you get a little more height, but you don't want to get too much height because you can hit these spikes on the ceiling. So as long as you extend this dash long enough, you can just dash straight forward to flag 15. And you might need to step up onto this corner, but you won't hit the spikes ever. From flag 15, if you do a full height jump, you can do 2 upright dashes to get to this corner here. But it's a little hard to get, so if you have trouble getting that, you can dash up first and then upright. And then you just need to jump over this corner. It's an extended hyper here. And then you can just do 1 dash to get to the spring, but it's a little faster to do 2 dashes. And then you want to, you'll need to wall jump over one of these walls. And I'd suggest wall jumping off the middle one. So ignore the first wall, dash upright through this gap, and then wall jump over this wall. And then dash upright. You can wall jump over the first wall and ignore the second, but you need to get to this last wall. And you can ignore both walls, but it's almost pixel perfect. So you're going to want to wall jump off one of them. And then this next part just requires that you be as conservative on your stamina as possible. So do wall jumps where possible and do climb jumps where needed. So it's a wall jump there, 1 climb jump, wall jump, climb, wall jump. And you want to be as high as possible so you can then jump over this gap. And you just want to hold jump for this last wall jump, or else you might not go high enough to get to flag 13. From here, you can jump and then dash up and then forward and then fast fall to hit the spring. What I suggest though is just getting a full height jump and then dashing upright. And that will let you then dash down left into the spring. And you want to hit the very top of the spring so you get enough height to dash over this next gap. If you hit the very top of the spring, you can dash forward over this first spiked wall and then dash forward again. Like that, even though it looks like you hit it. Otherwise, if you're too low, you might hit those spikes and it'll be a little risky. So you want to try and hit the very top to get as much height as possible. And then from here, you can either dash upright to the wall jump, and then dash upright over the spikes. Or if you get full height out of this spring, dash straight up, get full height out of that dash, and then dash upright, you can make it over the spikes without using the wall at all. But it's very tight, so you can go over it just like that. And you can fast fall to the spring if you want, or just to make it a little safer, you can choose not to fast fall. But after hitting this spring, you want to dash straight up into this switch. You want to go to the second switch below me, and you might be best that you don't fast fall to this second switch, because you need to hit this second switch at the very top right corner, so that you can dash upright to the next spring. And then the moment you hit this spring, you want to dash upright to cancel the momentum and hit the next switch. And then if you still have your dash after hitting that last switch, you can then dash left to go back to the spring. And then you just have to line up that last 2 upward dashes and just practice that. This is a very long flag, one of the longest flags in Updraft, so it's one that you're not going to want to take too many risks in. Something that you can do is dash up left first and then dash up through this gap, but that's really risky because then you have less time to line up the dashes at the end. With flag 12, you can wall boost off this wall if you want, but it's kind of hard to line up because these spikes are in the way. So you're just going to want to jump. If you do die though, you will be automatically lined up to do the wall boost. Again, maybe only on the patches that have easier wall boosts. But normally you just want to dash up and then wall jump, and then you can wall boost off of this wall because the spikes aren't in the way. But you want to land on the very top of this crystal, that you can then dash up, then dash upright and hit the very top of the next crystal. And if you get enough height from those upward dashes, you can then neutral jump around this spike and then climb up the wall. It has to be a neutral jump. If you land a little too low on the wall, they'll have to climb up to get right under the spike and then input a neutral jump, which is a little bit difficult because you have to let go of grab in order to do the neutral jump. So you need to let go of grab, press neutral jump, hold right, and press grab again, which is a lot of inputs. So if you get enough height after dashing to this crystal, you can just neutral jump without having to climb up at all. From here, you can do an extended hyper over that spike. You don't need to worry about it at all. So if you extend a hyper from here, you can then dash straight down. But from this position right here, you can do an extended hyper over the spike without worrying about it. And basically, you just need to do a bunch of dashes through here. You can fast fall through here. And then you can land on this platform. If you land on the very right edge of this platform, you won't grab flag 10. And some people do just ignore flag 10 because it's faster. But you only need to move a little bit to the left to grab flag 10. So if you're not 100% consistent with this flag, you might want to grab it. But from here, you just want to fast fall whenever possible. And then basically just do it the normal way. Like, there aren't too many special strats for here. Flag 9 does have a few different approaches though. You can just jump and essentially do it the normal way, but you definitely want to skip flag 8. Flag 8 is not worth going for because this last part is pretty free. Basically just need to take the cloud to the end. So when you get this crystal, you dash left up, and then you need to do one climb jump on that wall in order to get enough height to jump to the cloud. Some things that you can do to start up a little faster is you can either do a forward dash jump or a reverse dash jump here, and then dash through there. Doing the reverse dash jump makes it a little easier to line up because you'll be at the peak of your jump when you're lined up. So I'd recommend doing a reverse dash jump here, and then doing the rest of it. You can do a diagonal dash near the end if you fall low enough, which then lets you wall boost off this wall to get to the cloud, but it's really risky because you can easily hit that spike with the diagonal dash. Plus, after the diagonal dash, the wall boost is still pretty difficult to line up. So if you can't do that consistently, just doing the left and then up, then climb, then jump is much safer. Boost off this cloud, get to this platform as soon as possible. And then there are a few different strats for flag 7. So what you can do is do a dash jump from the left side, then do 2 up dashes, and then you want to do 1 climb jump on that wall, and then dash to this crystal. And then you can skip every other wall by just doing 2 up dashes, and then doing wall jumps. So like that. Some other things you can do is, since the dash jump can pretty easily make you hit those spikes, some other things you can do is you can just jump, dash diagonally to the first wall, and use that first wall. Instead of skipping it, you can do a reverse dash jump here to get to this wall a little faster. And if you dash to the first wall, you don't need to do a climb jump on any of these walls. You should be able to get enough height just to do wall jumps. And then you just want to do a bunch of climbing jumps up this wall. You should use all 4 that you have, and then wall jump to battle in. And so now, here are where feathers come into Summit. These are the last few flags. You're going to want to hyper to the left. It doesn't need to be extended hyper because you'll still have another dash, but you want to dash up through this feather, straight up. So if you have a controller, there's a precise angle that you can hold to go straight to the second cloud while ignoring the first. Otherwise, you're just going to kind of have to wiggle between up and upright like this if you have keyboard. But if you get enough height, if you get the correct angle, you should be able to just do 1 up dash to this cloud. Otherwise, you'll have to do 2, which means you'll have to wait for yourself to land on the cloud. If you do it correctly, you'll be able to reach the cloud with just 1 up dash, and you'll land right on it. You can do a reverse dash jump off this cloud, but you don't really need to. You just need to boost off of it, and then wall boost off this corner, and then wall boost again. And when you reach flag 5, you can just dash forward. You don't need to grab flag 5 because there's a checkpoint here anyway. So you want to land on this corner. You can do a dash jump off here if you want, just be wary of these spikes. If you want to jump from here, dash straight up and then dash diagonally to the spring. You can also dash diagonally first and then dash straight up to the spring, but just keep in mind that if you do the dash jump at the start, you're going to want to do the upward dash first, because otherwise you might hit the spikes. I'd recommend not doing the dash jump at all though, because those spikes are really dangerous, so just jump. You can wall boost off this corner right here if you time it right, but it's a pretty hard wall boost to time because you have the spring momentum. And plus it's really tight getting over those spikes if you do the wall boost. So if you don't want to do the wall boost, it's just 1 climb jump and then wall jump to the left and dash over. Again, you're going to want to either, you can wall boost off this wall, or you can just do a climb jump and a wall jump, which is a little safer. If you do the climb jump, you can do straight up and then forward. But if you do the wall boost, you need to go upright to get over this. So if you do the climb jump, you can go up and then forward. And then you need to go up and forward from here. And then you want to bunny hop off this crumble block and then do a dash up and then a wall boost off here. You can fast fall to the spring if you don't have trouble lining it up. And then you can either do 2 up dashes to the feather or go upright and then up. And doing upright and then up actually isn't too hard. You pretty much just need to maneuver the feather through here. And if you try and get out of the feather as high as possible, you can do an upright and then a forward dash to get right to flag 3. Otherwise, you might need to climb this wall just a little bit. But from flag 3, if you're like on the left side of the platform, you can just do a dash jump to the spring. And then you need to jump up this wall a little so that you can then wall boost without hitting the spikes. And then dash forward to this feather. And then you need to maneuver the feather to the next part as quickly as possible so you can dash out of it. But if you don't maneuver it fast enough, you're going to want to have to dash up out of the feather in order to get to the next part. Like you might have to dash up out of the feather here, in which case you just want to wall jump through this gap and then dash through the second gap. Some other things that you can do though, if you do maneuver the feather quickly enough, you can dash through the first gap and then dash through the second gap. And another thing that you can do is you can wall jump through the first gap and dash through the second gap and conserve your dash. And that lets you dash down left through the last feather. I think the version where you dash upright through the first gap and then use your second dash to get through the last gap is the fastest method though. So trying to conserve your dashes to get to that gap is faster. But you just want to do it the normal way to get to flag 2. You can hyper bunny hop from here, but that has a high chance of skipping flag 2, like that. And flag 2 is a pretty tough flag, so if you don't want to take too many risks, you might just want to walk forward and get flag 2, in which case you want to do an extended hyper off of here. The bunny hop gives you a little more height to do this next strat faster though. But if you extend a hyper, you can dash up. You can wall boost around this corner and you'll pretty much never hit that spike. And then you want to wall boost off that corner at the end. Some other things that you can do at the start though is wall boost off of here and then wall boost off of there. But since the spike's in a way, it's a little harder to line up. But that is the fastest way to get up to this spring. And if you wall boost high enough off that last wall boost, you can hit the top of this crystal. This crystal right here, which gives you a little more height to get through the rest of the room. But you want to try and conserve stamina jumping up this wall. So you want to jump up quickly and then jump off of it as soon as you can so you can then dash to the next wall. And you should have enough stamina then to land right here. If you jump and then dash jump off this platform right here, you will grab flag 1, so don't be afraid to dash jump here. And then you can dash up right to here. If you do time the dashes correctly, you can even do a dash jump off that second platform. Like that, which lets you conserve a dash and get to here. Otherwise, you can just jump up here, dash up right, and then wall boost off of here to get up here. And then this has a few different strats where you can like do up like straight up forward dashes like that. But I find it easy enough just to jump and then dash up right here. You can jump from, you want to jump a little bit high from here, so you can dash up and then forward to here. And then you want to jump again, dash up right forward to here. You can dash jump off this platform, and it's a little easier to line up than the one before. But you need to make sure that you dash upright immediately after that dash jump, so you don't hit the spikes. And that actually wasn't a dash jump, but I still got the dash jump momentum for whatever reason. And you see, if you don't line it up correctly, you die, so you might not want to go for that dash jump since it's the very last flag anyway. But if you do get the dash jump off of here, then you can also dash jump off of this platform to get a little more forward momentum. Otherwise, you can just walk to the right. And you want to jump up here, dash straight up, and then dash down left so that you can get to this wall as quickly as possible. And then you want to jump here, wall boost here, dash up right, and then you either want to land on here or land right here. If you land right here, doing 2 upright dashes will land you here. If you land right here, doing 2 upright dashes will land you here. Either way, you just want to do a bunch of up and then diagonal dashes. I would recommend, because if you do stay on this corner right here and then go to this corner, you'll land on this platform, which means 2 upright dashes will land you right here. And you might mistakenly think that you've done the chapter once you've hit this spot right here and then accidentally retry. And that'll kill you. So I would suggest at least stepping up onto this platform before you start doing the upright dashes, so that you can land here, and this will give you enough distance to then dash straight to the end of the chapter. Like that. And yeah, that is the entirety of Summit. You should be able to get sub 11 times quickly enough. Maybe at least start with sub 12. And like your final goal should be like sub 930. Like this chapter can vary a lot in its length and runs because of how difficult of a chapter it is and how long of a chapter it is. It's by far the longest chapter in the game, so you're gonna have to put a lot of practice into it because it's basically 2 chapters in one. But yeah, with that, that is the end of the Celeste any percent tutorial. When you start doing runs with the strats that I've demonstrated in most of these, those are the kinds of strats that you should at least be able to get sub 40 times with soon enough. You should definitely be able to get sub hour if you can get a fairly low death count with these strats. But this tutorial is a little more of an intermediate tutorial for those who have already watched Benteezy's tutorial before. So if you want to see some easier beginner level strats, I'll link to Benteezy's tutorial in the description and you can see the strats he uses. Just keep in mind that that guide is a little bit outdated, and new strats have been discovered since then. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for the Celeste any% tutorial. I hope your runs go well, and I'll see you later.